the Reptilian carrier wave in Reiki and possible MK Ultra connection. I got my first 2 Reiki levels from the Reiki Alliance. I wanted my master level in Reiki, but it would cost $10,000 American, so I looked for another Reiki master to teach me. I found a master in British Columbia, Canada, who had taken about a dozen master level courses through varying Reiki systems, and I received my master's certificate through him in 2005. Soon after, a student came to learn master level Reiki. I taught her the system I had learned from my master, but told her there were new symbols certain Reiki schools have added that was part of my training. However, I did not feel called to use these symbols, as I only liked using the 4 symbols the founder, Sensei Yuzui, had given us, so I had no experience in using these new symbols. My student was unsure about these new symbols, so I suggested that I lie down and she give me only the energy from one new symbol to feel what it was like. I will not give the name of the symbol or the Reiki lineage that teaches it, as I don't want to call the Reptilian to you, nor do I want to embarrass any Reiki practitioners of that particular school. I will say the symbol had the letter Z and an infinity symbol in it. As soon as my student started to channel that Reiki symbol, I felt sick by its energy, and a tall, male lizard-looking spirit appeared in the room. I did not see the entity with my physical eyes, but with my mind's eye. My student was unaware of the entity. She said she didn't like the energy of the symbol and stopped the treatment. I spoke to the lizard man in my mind and asked, "Who are you?" The lizard man was quite surprised that I could see him, and, with his mind, he started up the Reiki treatment again on me. I felt sick again by its energy and forcefully told the entity to leave. I realized then, the symbol was a sigil for a bad spirit, and I had attuned my student to it. I felt obligated to tell my student what had happened and felt horrible for the situation. I did not know how to remove Reiki symbols. My student finished her training but told me she chose not to practice Reiki anymore. I spoke with my sister about the event, and she told me the entity was a reptilian and they eat people. I didn't know if I could believe her, as the entity I saw was in spirit form, or at least telepathic in nature, and how could I believe in aliens coming to Earth and eating people? I had a bath that night, determined to figure out how to remove all these new symbols from my body. I lay down and put one hand on my tummy and the other on my back and prayed to Reiki to pull out these symbols from me. I saw one symbol in my mind's eye, light up in my tummy and rise up and come out of the top of my head. I was happy this was going to be easy. Another one came out, but it took more mental concentration to come out of my head. When the third symbol started to come out, I saw the same lizard man appear in spirit in my bathroom along with 7 or 8 gray aliens. They all stood around the bathtub and stared at me. I could feel that they were attacking my mind so that I could not concentrate on removing the symbols. I was scared and their mental attack was very strong, so I could not remove any more symbols from my body. When I became mentally exhausted and gave up, the entities disappeared. For the next 2 years I was harassed in my sleep by lizard people and sometimes by gray aliens. They never came in physical form like abductees say, they only came as spirits. I was upset by what happened. I have spoken with the spirit of Sensei Yuzui before, so I traveled to the spirit realm to find him. I told him my story and I could tell he did not believe me but realized how upset I was. He simply told me he would look into it. A week later Sensei Yuzui told me that yes, indeed something had attached itself to the Reiki system. He told me that Reiki is like the electromagnetic wave and that these beings had attached a carrier wave underneath the Reiki waveform. He said it could not be removed but not to worry because another wave, the exact opposite, was added to Reiki. If you remember physics, 2 identical but opposite wavelengths will cancel each other out. In 2006, I was at an alternative health expo and I met a man who sold orgonite. I never heard of it before but was intrigued by the strange energy it emitted. We chatted for a bit and eventually I told him of my strange experience with the lizard people's carrier wave. He asked the name of the woman who created the system. I said her initials were KM. He nodded in understanding and told me she was an MK Ultra kid. I had never heard of such a thing before and he briefly described it to me. I do not know if the MK Ultra part is true or not, but it is an interesting coincidence. With the help of another person, I was able to remove the last of the symbols from my body. Until I take a Reiki master class from another lineage, I will not teach Reiki. I wanted to note why I do not call lizard people reptilians as they are commonly known. It is because lizard people is a more accurate name spiritually for these beings. To call a being by their true name or by a name that describes their nature accurately gives a person more power and control over that being. I know these beings don't like to be called reptilians, as it's not who they are, but accept that name from humans because it affords us less control over them. The name they call themselves translates very closely in our language to lizard people and they hate to be called that by us. These beings, whether interdimensional or spirit, truly see mankind as inferior creatures and are extremely malevolent towards us. My name is Bright Star and that is my experience with the new Reiki symbols added to the Reiki system.